welcome to Rouse IAS. This is the Daily Blends Practice Initiative, and here we discuss important MCQs from The Hindu and Indian Express. The topics for today's discussion are mentioned over your screen. So let's begin our session. The first practice MCQ for today is based on this particular article, which appeared on the page number 5 of The Hindu. So as per this article, ISRO has conducted the key trials for Gaganyaan mission. UPSC in the previous year 2016 had asked a question on Mangalyaan. So on the similar lines, we have framed the question on Gaganyaan project. The practice question states that with reference to Gaganyaan project of Indian Space Research Organization, consider the following statements. Statement 1. It envisages demonstration of human spaceflight capability. So this is a correct statement. Gaganyaan is India's first human spaceflight mission. The second statement is integrated air-dope test and pad abort test are precursor missions of this project. So this is also a correct statement. So as this is a human spaceflight mission, so in order to ensure the safety of this mission, several precursor missions are planned before the actual takeoff of Gaganyaan project. So these are integrated air-dope test mission, pad abort test mission, and test vehicle flight missions. The third statement is human-rated LVM-3 rocket launcher for the mission consists of 2 stages. So this is an incorrect statement as this rocket consists of 3 stages. So Gaganyaan mission is planned to be launched in ISRO's GSLV Mark III rocket, which is popularly known as Launch Vehicle Mark III. So this rocket consists of 3 stages. First is solid fuel stage, second is liquid fuel stage, and third is cryogenic fuel stage. So you can find out what is the cryogenic fuel in this rocket. Okay, now let us talk about Gaganyaan mission in brief. So Gaganyaan is India's first human spaceflight mission. It is planned to be launched in December 2024. So this mission aims to launch 3 members in space for 3 days in the low Earth orbit. And if India is successful in the launch of this mission, then India would be the 4th country to send humans to space after Russia, US and China. Hence, the correct answer to our practice question is option D, that is 1 and 2 only. And the correct answer to our UPSC previous year question is option C. So our next practice question is based on this particular article which appeared on the page number 8 of The Hindu. So as per a latest study by Newcastle University, people in India are at the highest risk of flooding from glacial lakes. So this study estimates that 15 million people are at risk from flooding caused by glacial lakes or GLOF, glacial lake outburst floods. So this article is important under various geophysical phenomena and their impacts in India. UPSC in previous year 2017 had asked a question on Indian Ocean Dipole. Now let us solve our practice question which states that consider the following statements regarding glacial lake outburst floods. Statement 1. They are formed when glacial ice or moraines impound a lot of water. Now this is a correct statement. So glacial lake outburst flood happen when the glacial lakes accumulate a lot of water. So as the volume of the water grows, there is a subsequent pressure on the dam or reservoir containing this water, and after a limit, this moraine dam will break. And this overflow or release of water due to the failure of this moraine dam is called GLOF. The second statement is mass movements like landslides or avalanches trigger these floods. So this is a correct statement. So this sudden release of water from this dam can be triggered by incidences like avalanches or landslide. The third statement is, in India, still there are no national guidelines on the management of such glacial link outburst floods. So this is an incorrect statement. In India, NDMA, which is National Disaster Management Authority, has issued the guidelines on the management of such floods. So the correct answer to our practice question is option A, that is 1 and 2 only. And the correct answer to our UPSC previous year question is option B. So the next practice question of today is based on this particular article which appeared on the page number 8 of The Hindu. The article talks about disinvestment process and it states that in the Union Budget for financial year 2023-2024, the central government has set a disinvestment target of rupees 51,000 crores and which is lower than the previous financial year. So there is a chart in this news article. So this blue line on the graph shows the estimated target of the government for disinvestment and this red line shows the actual disinvestment proceeds of the government. So we can derive a rough idea from this graph that generally this blue line is longer than the red line. So this implies that the actual realization of disinvestment proceeds is lower than the targeted proceeds by government. So especially you can see from financial year 2019-2020, the estimates are way higher than the actual realization of disinvestment proceeds. Now let us solve a practice question regarding disinvestment. The question states that consider the following statement with reference to disinvestment. Statement 1. Disinvestment necessarily means the transfer of ownership and control of a public sector entity to some other entity, either private or public. So this is an incorrect statement. This is because disinvestment does not necessarily means the transfer of ownership or control of a public sector entity. So there are different types of disinvestments. The first type of disinvestment is selling minority stake. In this type of disinvestment, government sells less than 50% of its stake and the ownership is with the government. So disinvestment does not necessarily means the transfer of ownership and control of a public sector enterprise to some other entity. And other type of disinvestment is majority disinvestment. This is also known as strategic disinvestment. And in such kind of disinvestment, government sells majority stake, that is more than 50% of its stake. So in majority disinvestment, government also gives the ownership and control of public sector. And the third type of disinvestment may be privatization. And in such kind of disinvestment, 100% stake is sold by the government. The second statement is Department of Investment and Public Asset Management under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry undertakes disinvestment related procedures. Now this is an incorrect statement. This is because though disinvestment related procedures in India are undertaken by Department of Investment and Public Asset Management, that is DIPAM, but it is under Ministry of Finance. The third statement is the proceeds of disinvestment are credited into National Investment and Infrastructure Fund. Now this is an incorrect statement. This is because the proceeds of disinvestment are credited into National Investment Fund. So don't be confused between National Investment Fund and National Investment and Infrastructure Fund, with regard to which UPSC had asked a question in 2017. So the correct answer to our practice question is option D, that is none of the above, as all three statements are incorrect. And the correct answer to our UPSC previous year question is option D. So our next MCQ for today is based on this particular article which appeared on the page number 11 of The Hindu. This article talks that during a discussion on union budget in Lok Sabha had to be adjourned before the scheduled time due to a lack of quorum. And it also mentioned about motion of thanks. So for UPSC prelims perspective, you must have clear understanding regarding various parliamentary procedures. UPSC in the previous year 2014 had asked a question on no confidence motion. So let us solve our practice question which states that with reference to motions in parliament, consider the following statements. Statement 1. Non-passage of motion of thanks amounts to the defeat of the government. So this is a correct statement. So the first session of the parliament after each general election and the first session of every financial year is addressed by the President of India. In this address, the President outlines the policies and programs of the government in the preceding year and in the ensuing year, that is the coming year. Now this motion of thanks has to be passed in both houses of the parliament. And if it fails to be passed, then it amounts to the defeat of the government. The second statement is no confidence motion needs to state the reason for its adoption in the Lok Sabha. Now this is an incorrect statement. This is because there is no need to state the reason for the adoption of no confidence motion in Lok Sabha. Some other facts about no confidence motion are a no confidence motion can only be adopted in the Lok Sabha and not in the Rajya Sabha. This motion is adopted when the parliament loses faith in the Council of Ministers. And if this motion is passed in the Lok Sabha, it amounts to the failure of the government and may also lead to the collapse of the government. However, there is no need to state the reason for its adoption in the Lok Sabha. The third statement is censure motion can be moved against the entire Council of Ministers only. Now, this is also an incorrect statement. This is because censure motion can be moved against entire Council of Ministers, a group of ministers, or even an individual minister for the failure to perform their duties. Now, as the question asked, which of the following statements are incorrect? Then the correct answer would be option B, that is 2 and 3 only, as 2 and 3 are incorrect. And The correct answer to our UPSC previous year question is option C. So the next MCQ for today is based on this particular article which appeared on the page number 3 of Indian Express. So as per this news article, there have been found heavy concentration of heavy metals like nitrate and uranium in groundwater in a district of Uttar Pradesh. So UPSC in the previous year 2019 had asked this particular question regarding the pollutants in atmosphere. So on the similar lines, let us solve this practice question. So this question states that consider the following metals: lead, aluminium, mercury, cadmium. Which of the heavy metals given above contaminate groundwater? Now this question asks which among these are heavy metals. So in this particular question, lead is a heavy metal, mercury is a heavy metal, cadmium is a heavy metal, but aluminium is a light metal. So let us understand what are heavy metals. So heavy metals are those metals which have atomic number of more than 20 and they have a relative high density of more than 5 gram per centimeter cube. So they are toxic or poisonous even at low concentrations in water. So some examples of heavy metals that contaminate groundwater include mercury, cadmium, arsenic, chromium, thallium, nickel, zinc, uranium, lead. So what are the sources of heavy metals? Heavy metals can be introduced in environment or say water bodies by natural means like volcanic eruptions, weathering of rocks, and the predominant cause is human activities and even heavy use of pesticides and fertilizers in agriculture and heavy industrialization and lack of treatment of effluents. So it can lead to poisoning of water and can cause threats to humans, animals and plants. And about aluminium, though it is also a significant source of water pollution and it is one of the lightest metals in the world, so aluminium will not be considered as heavy metal. The exposure of lead may cause to anemia, the exposure of mercury may cause to Minamata disease, and exposure of cadmium may cause Itai disease. So the correct answer to this question is option B, that is 1, 3 and 4 only. And the correct answer to our UPSC previous year question is option D. So the final MCQ for today is based on this particular article which appeared on the page number 17 of Indian Express. So as per this article, Reserve Bank of India has increased the repo rate by 25 basis points. This has been done in order to control inflation. So UPSC in the previous year 2020 had asked this particular question with regard to expansionist monetary policy. And now let us solve our practice question which states that which of the following steps may be adopted to fight the rising inflationary pressure in India? Statement 1. Increasing the rate of marginal standing facilities. This is a correct statement. The second statement is reducing the goods and services tax on luxury goods. This is an incorrect statement. The third statement is imposing quantitative restrictions on the imports of essential items. This is also incorrect statement. The fourth statement is qualitative control imposed on the commercial banks by the Reserve Bank of India. Now, this is a correct statement. So, in order to understand this MCQ, let us first understand what is inflation. Inflation basically means the mismatch of demand and supply. So, in order to control inflation of India, both Finance Ministry and Reserve Bank of India has some tools or procedures. The Reserve Bank of India controls inflation through its monetary policy. And this monetary policy also consists of quantitative and some qualitative tools. And some of these quantitative tools may include increasing the repo rate. So when repo rates is increased, the commercial banks are discouraged from borrowing. This will in turn reduce the money supply in the economy. And when the money supply is reduced in the economy, this will cause lowering of the demand. And lowering of the demand will relieve inflation. So on the similar lines, to ease inflation, government will increase the rate of marginal standing facilities. So it is a correct statement. Now let us see fourth statement. So qualitative tools are some kind of restrictions on the commercial banks to control the supply of money in the economy. So as the supply of money in the economy will be restricted, so this will again bring down the overall demand. Now let us see option 2 and option 3. In order that there is a low demand for luxury goods, the taxes on luxury goods may be increased, not reduced. And in order to increase the supply of goods and services, the restrictions on imports of essential items would be eased. They would not be imposed. Hence, the correct answer to our practice question is option D, that is 1 and 4 only. And the correct answer to our UPSC previous year question is option C.